Yes, boys, we are finally back with an upload. It's been a week or two now. Not going to be uploading highlights in TSRL for Zandvoort. That race was an absolute horror show. It's been so long ago now, the stream actually isn't on my Twitch anymore. So when I came to edit this video, I realised I wouldn't have anything to show you from Zandvoort. Do have these two clips though, which should be on your screens right about now. So to give you a little rundown, we qualified second. This happened turn one. We get in too hot, hit the back of the car ahead of us as we got a poor start. And then as we made our way through the field, coming up to the back of Ashley and the McLaren ahead of us, bit frustrated at this point, went for a move that I shouldn't have, and we've spun ourselves round. And we did actually retire from after that incident after we got damage off the wall, and it was 2 laps to go at the time. Either way, we move on from Zandvoort. Apologies for those awful clips, but gives you an idea of what happened. Absolute disaster. We forget that race. We move on to Spain. As you can see, join us in Quali 2. So there was only 15 people, so didn't need to do Quali 1 straight into Quali 2. It's actually full wet. No chance of it getting any lighter either, so had good, reasonable pace in the dry. But in the wet on this game, I'm just nowhere compared to in the dry. But either way, we can't get bogged down in what could have been. We have to deal with what's in the here and now. As we finish up our first lap on the wets, coming up to the line, it's a 1:29.1. Puts us P4 for the time being, but not a very competitive time to what the top times will be in the wet. We'll be looking to get at least a second off that time that we've done if we want to be anywhere near the front. But as you can see on our second run, we're actually 5 tenths down as we come into the last sector. So not a good start to this second lap. Coming into this long right-hander, take a much nicer line through there, and it's reflected in our time. Gained a lot of that time back. Taking a bit too much curb there, cost us a little bit more time, and a bit cautious into this final chicane, so another little bit of time lost. A lot more smoother through this final corner, so we gain some of it back, and we come across the line for our second run as a 29.2. So there's a lot of time still to be found. But as we jump forward to the end of our third run, or coming towards the end of our third run, we're down again as we come into the last sector, so really not having a good time of it. We lose the back end out of the hairpin, so that's more time lost. Typically in the wet, you put a lot of fuel in, you go for a lot of runs, you find out where the grip is, and your times consistently do they just come down in little increments as you find more grip and more speed. But for us in this session, it just hasn't been the pace. We're getting slower. We're gonna go for another run. There's still enough time to do that if it's good enough anyway. We come across the lines to a pretty much identical times to the ones we had before, so another 29.1. We'll stay on board as we start our fourth run on this set of tyres. Miss the apex at turn 1 and cut the inside of turn 2. So the start of the fourth run is completely done. We're going to stay on these tyres. We are in 6th place, so we're definitely going to have to do some more laps, but Q3 is wet as well. So we're going to come to start our 5th lap, completely lose the back end, and not even go into the pits either. So we're going to have an awful start to our final run. We'll stay on board for this run, currently P6. So with the way that the wet conditions work, you just sort of have to be out there just in case the track gets faster. We start the lap 3 tenths down, which is not how you want to start a crucial qualifying lap. We've lost a couple of tenths, gained it back through turn 3 as we lose the rear a bit. Definitely pushing the car to its limits. Almost half a second down through sector 1. So it'd be difficult for us to gain that time back. We have gained a little bit back through turn 4 into the tricky hairpin of 5. Short shifting up to third, getting a good exit, losing the rear again. See, we're pushing, missed the apex of that. Rear goes, that's us in the wall. Quali run is over. Now it's just a race of, do we have enough time to get back in the pits? You can see we're in P7. 2 minutes 20 left. We're going to need to get back out there if we can. And don't really have the time to do it. It depends on how fast our mechanics can get us in and get us out. It feels like an absolute age for the mechanics to wheel you back into the garage when you know that the clock is against you and you need to get back out there. I know we're in P7, so there's a chance we'll be okay, but we really want to be out there if we can to try and improve. It does mean we'll have to go on to our second set of wet tyres, but at this point I didn't really mind. If only just put the screens down, put 1 minute 40 you can see at the bottom, and quickly take the fuel out. It says insufficient time, but we're going to try and risk it anyway. It takes so long. Don't worry about it, mate. You slowly raise that screen up. Hands on the wheel. We're still not moving. Now we're going out. This is 1 minute 20, so we definitely do not have enough time. As we cut to being back in the garage, quickly flick over to the standings. See, we're in 10th place, so we're right on the edge. Can't actually retire from the session, but it ends it up for us. And we're down to 11th, so that is us out of qualifying. And we cut forward to results, and there's that confirmation of that then. So P12 for us in the end. One of our main championship rivals, Finn MUFC, also out of quali, so he starts next to us in 11th. And we'll skip forward to their quali 3 results, and it is Ben, PPRL IMP, on pole here in Spain for round 6 of Tier 7 TSRL. Let's see how we get on from 12th place. So here we are then, forming up on the grid. Decided to go for the hard tyres just to do something different. So because it was a wet quali, everyone's going to have fresh pick. So I believe everyone's on the mediums, which is what I expected. So just to do something different, I thought I'd put the hards on. Better chance of getting a good result that way, I thought anyway. We are going to be compromised in these opening laps. I hadn't actually ever driven on the hards at the start of the race, so I had no idea how they were going to perform in the first few corners or off the line. But either way, here we are, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are underway in Spain. Reasonable start for us considering. Already been jumped by the McLaren though, getting swarmed from behind. We're just going to take it cautious. We know we've got less grip at the moment. Through turn 1, everything seems to be reasonably clean. Getting squeezed a little bit by a teammate there on the left, who drives clean around the outside of us, and we've got Kostag looking on the inside. We're going to go back down the inside of our teammate Chile. There's a lot of cars, absolute carnage on the outside. We're going to almost take to the grass to avoid them all. The Mercedes is ghosted, looks like we're inside of, and yeah, coming out turn 4, absolute carnage through turn 3. We're down to P14. You see the Mercedes of the video, our old teammate loses it, so up to 13th. Apologies for the little glitches, as you can see, as Kostag ahead of us loses it. We go around the outside of him, up into 12th. And that's just Twitch ruining the quality as it gets downloaded, I think. But yeah, crazy start to the race, cars everywhere. As you can see, another one, the Ferrari. And we've smashed into the back of our teammate. Slightly put off by the Ferrari rejoining ahead of us, but no excuse. Just completely misjudged where I was going and unfortunately hit into the back of him. Totally expected to get a penalty after the race for that one. Apologies to Chile for that, but we'll focus on the race for now. That's all we can do. Can't go back and change it now. So we're up into P10, so for all of that carnage, although we were a part of it, we were up 2 places. A better start than we were expecting on the hard tyre, so we'll definitely take it. You can already tell there's a massive lack of grip on these tyres where the car is heavy. It just feels really clunky and slow. So we're just going to have to stick with these guys ahead of us as there's a bit of contact ahead. That's Maka rejoined, and we've had to overtake Carl off the circuit there. Absolute mayhem in these opening laps. We're up to 8th, so we avoided those 2 cars. So a good start for us. Just got to hang on to these guys around us on the mediums, make as many places as we can, and see where that leaves us. We've got Finn ahead of us, our championship rival, who spins. So we're up into 7th, and some important people are behind us. You can see Illy in 9th. Yeah, good start, all things considered. Although probably looking like we'll get a penalty for that incident that we had with our teammate at the start, where we've just smashed into the back of him. But either way, we're up into 7th as we cut forward to the end of lap 3. Yeah, good start for us, all things considered, as we come through this final sector. A little bit loud on the throttle, we're in the gravel, and round she goes, facing the wrong way. So we go through the polystyrene, looking for a way back onto the track, and there's a wall in the way. So slowly avoiding the wall as we try and rejoin the circuit. But all of that work that we had done to get up to 7th place, albeit taking out our teammate in the process, but all that work that we've done, we're now down to 13th. Tyres with grass on them as we almost spin in the final corner. Rears are overheated. But we're on a different tyre. We just got to get our head down now, see if we can close up to the guys ahead of us. A safety car could pull us right back into this race. So we cut forward to the start of lap 5. Still 6 odd seconds behind any car ahead of us, and we have a safety car. So what we're saying, it brings us right back into the race. It certainly does. It's a little bit too early to pit for hards, or at least that's what I was thinking at the time anyway. And as we cut to the end of that same lap, we can see a couple of cars in the pits. So I believe that's Kostag, Jules and Scratty Rat that have all come into the pits. So Kostag gone for the softs, as you can see at the bottom there. Scratty Rat's gone for the hards, so he could possibly try and take them to the end. And Jules looks like he's disconnected there, so that's another 3 place for us. But yeah, only those cars pitted, so everyone else staying out on the mediums, which is good for us. It just bunches the pack up and essentially restarts the race for us. So here we are then for the restart. You can see we've not done a very good job of heating the tyres up. Found it really hard to get temperature into these hards. But yeah, here we are for the restart. P9, we've got a teammate in front of us. Seems like the cars ahead of us have got a worse restart than we have. But tyres are freezing. We've got a bit of a gap behind, so we're not going to challenge these guys into turn 1. We're even to get a little bit of temperature. So our teammate throws his car to the outside. We're just going to sit behind these guys and see if we can pick them off. We've got Kostag behind us on the softs, who's absolutely flying, so we're not going to challenge him down into turn 3 here. Just going to let him go through. So much faster through those first opening corners that I didn't really see the point. In hindsight, it probably shouldn't have, because looking at it realistically, we've both got one more stop to make. But at the time, I just didn't really think like it was worth fighting. So we cut forward to the end of lap 9, which will be the start of lap 10. A little bit closer. We haven't really made the inroads on the car ahead that we would want to, but we are a little bit closer than we have done before, so we're going to use overtake this lap. Chile kindly doesn't defend for us, so that's us up into P9. Got Maka just ahead of us in the racing point, and Kostag just ahead of him on the soft, so he's not made too much ground on those soft tyres. As we get our first warning here on lap 11, we're a lot closer to Maka this time than we have done before. I think we're getting to that point in the race now where the mediums are starting to go off and the hards are becoming the faster race tyre at this point. You can see a whole group of cars just ahead of Maka here, so we need to get past them as quickly as we can. Get a good run at the final corner, not quite as close as we want to be, but we've been good with our ERS so far. So we're going to leave the overtake turned on. He's not going to defend. But that's us up into 8th place. And as we come to the end of lap 12, you can see we've caught up to these guys ahead. As we are not convinced that was a warning myself, but we get our second warning of the race. You see the hards are definitely coming into their own, set the fastest lap of the race as we hunt down these guys ahead. Someone peeled off into the pits at the end of the lap before. I didn't quite catch who that was, but that's us up into 7th place. And you can see Kostag ahead is really struggling. Gets on the grass a little bit on the inside. We're going to deploy overtake, move to the inside, and we're now up into 6th place. So making progress. Not that many people ahead of us have pitted either, and if we look on the map, the leaders are only just now coming into turn 5, so they're not that far away, and we have a whole stint on a softer compound tyre just coming up in a few laps time, so race is looking quite good for us at the moment. Cutting forward then to the end of that same lap, we have everyone ahead of us peeling off into the pits. I think everybody except IMP, so now BPRL 1 and 2 currently having to defend from Kostak behind, still on his soft tyres, but good to know that we are ahead of him, knowing that we both probably have one more stop to make. And we cut forward to the end of lap 15, so Kostak pitted the lap before, and we've got Ben in the pits currently, so we take the lead of the race. Still have Scratty Rat behind us on the hards that he put on during the safety car, so we could technically go to the end, but at this point in the race I wasn't thinking that that was a possibility. I thought that he had one more stop to make with us. But we can see the gaps behind us, so Scratty Rat in second on his hard tyres. We've got TSRL Freeman in his debut race on pole. He's currently in third position, 15 seconds behind us, and Ben comes out in fourth, 17 seconds behind us. So we're just going to keep monitoring those gaps. We expect it to come down, but we know that we're going to be putting on a faster tyre in a few laps time. So here we are then, lap 20. This is our pit-in lap. We actually see the gaps to Freeman and Ben behind us have stayed pretty much at a constant over the last 4 laps or so. So we've got good pace on these hard tyres, considering that theirs are 13 laps younger, although there isn't much of a time difference in the hards when they wear anyway, but good to know that we've got equal pace with those guys on older tyres. So out the pits we come then on mediums, 13 laps to go to the end. Scratty Rat takes the lead, who can still go to the end. And we've come out, looks like, using overtake on the pit exit just to stay ahead of Illy, which we probably didn't actually need to do, but I thought he was going to be closer. But we come out in 5th, so we've had really good pace on the hards. We've come out 3 seconds behind Ben in 3rd, so 3 seconds off a podium place. We've got 13 laps on much faster tyres, so we're just going to reel these guys in at lightning pace on their old hards and our new mediums. We can see Freeman just coming up to turn 9 now, and Scratty Rat is in the final sector. So we need to clear these guys as fast as possible and then get after that Ferrari, who could potentially go to the end, as I've said, but his tyres would be 28 laps old come the end, and from my experience I can only take the hards about 23, as Egg in front of us hits the gravel in the same place that we spun earlier in the race. So it puts us a lot closer to him than we would have been. It's going to give us the DRS, and we've got overtake. He moves all the way to the right. I don't know if that was to defend or just to let us pass, but either way we're going to take the position. So we're up to 4th. Got Ben 2 seconds ahead of us here on lap 22, so still 12 laps to go, including this one that we just started. And we got forward to lap 23, so just a lap and a half later, and we're already all over the back of Ben. So these medians have given us some great pace compared to these guys on the hards. Should be a reasonably easy overtake as long as we can keep it clean through this last sector. We can see on the mini-map in the bottom left, Scratty Rat already coming down to turn 1, so it's a massive lead that he has. So we need to clear this guy as fast as we can, aiming to get a good exit off the last corner, using the overtake that we've saved up quite nicely through the race actually. Having to turn it on again as he leaves his on down the straight, but he doesn't go defensive. We move to the inside, and we're up into 3rd. So from 12th to 3rd we can see the gap to Scratty Rat there, so 14 seconds. And that is 10 laps to go, including this one that we just started, so we're going to need more than a second a lap, which I was confident that we would be able to do, but it is going to be close, and we do have Freeman in the way as well, who certainly won't let us go past. So we cut forward to lap 27, or end of lap 27, so it's taken us 3.5 laps to get within DRS of Freeman, and this lap we were just inside it as well, so just under a second as we came across that detection point, so we're close enough to reel him in. As we start this lap, there's 6 to go, and the gap to Scratty Rat is 10 seconds, and we're still not even past Freeman yet, so at this point I wasn't thinking it would be possible, although I knew the hards would drop off. You can see he's lost a few temps through turn 3 already. I didn't think it would be possible to pass him, so at this point I was happy to settle for second. Well, we've got to get past Freeman first, but I was happy to settle for second, given that we started in 12th. I would be happy with that result. This lap we looked close enough to Freeman to be able to get past. The medium's still holding up quite nicely, as we have a virtual safety car coming through the middle sector. That was really important, that this safety car, well, I was thinking at the time, that it ends before we have the DRS down the straight, so that we could get Freeman this lap and give us another lap to get closer to Scratty Rat. You see the gap a little bit off because of the way the delta works with VSC, but that's 12 seconds currently, and we're coming on to start, 5 laps to go, so not looking like it's possible. But the pace on the mediums we know was good. The VSC still hasn't ended, all over the back of Freeman, coming onto the straight, still not ended. So it's looking like, as it ends ending now, and we have to slam on the brakes because we're over our delta, but it ends just at the wrong time for us, so it keeps Freeman ahead for another lap. We have the DRS straight away, which is nice. But 5 laps to go now, and we cut turn 2 on the restart. That is a penalty, not what we needed. We had 2 earlier in the race, as you saw. Yeah, silly. Not being fully ready from the safety car restart, and we've got that penalty, a silly mistake. I can tell you at the time, I don't think actually anyone had a penalty around us. Freeman might have had one, but yeah, Scratty Rat didn't have any. So now what was a pretty high hill to climb, mountain to climb, however that saying goes, it's now even harder. We're still going to give it a go, so we've got Freeman ahead of us still, obviously. We're going to look to get past him this lap. We look close enough as he loses the back end a little bit. We don't help ourselves by locking up into that right-hander. Need to get as good an exit as we can. We've got a pretty decent one. We've still got a lot of overtakes saved up. I found it quite easy to save overtake round here actually. We're going to leave it deployed for the entire straight. Freeman goes very defensive to the right hand side. We're going to go to the outside, see if we can go all the way around the outside. He defends it well. We've touched into the back of him. He's left us space through turn 2. We're definitely going to take that. Round the outside of turn 3, deploying overtake on the exit down towards turn 4. Looks like we're ahead. Going to have to leave him a little bit of room on the inside, but that's us up into second place. Had to use a lot of overtake to get past them there. But as I was just saying, I found it quite easy to save it round here. Coming to the end of that lap then. So end up 30, there'll be 3 laps to go at the start of this next one. Gap to Scratty Rat is 7.4 seconds. As we jump forward to the end of the next lap, we can see the gaps come down by almost 2 seconds. So it's at 5 seconds now, and we know that it's just going to get, well, his tyres at this point over 25 laps old, which is past where I would really like to take them. See, it's coming down to 5 seconds, so 2.4 that we gained on that lap. And we come around to start the last lap. We can see it's down to under 3 seconds now. So another 2 and a bit seconds that we gained on that lap. 2.5 as we come to start the last lap. We know that he's probably just a little bit too far ahead with our penalty, but we're going to keep pushing anyway. We'll stay on board for the entirety of this last lap. Coming through turn 1, right on the limit. Got a little bit of fuel to use and overtake as well. 2 seconds it's down to as we come to start the second sector. Missed that apex a little bit. Using all of the track on the exit, so you were pushing hard, trying to close into the back of the Ferrari. 1.7 seconds as we exit turn 4. Through turn 7 and 8, right on the limit of the track limits, coming up to turn 9. Really throwing the car in. using the last of the overtake down to 1.2. He's just going to be a little bit too far away, but we're going to give it everything in this last sector to get closer to him in case he does have a penalty or picks one up. Using all of the track at the exit of that hairpin there, missing that apex slightly, throwing it over the curves of the final chicane. He's just going to be ahead of us. See how slow he is through that last lap, but he does cross the line 3/10 ahead of us. With that penalty, it becomes 3.3. As you see, Freeman had a penalty behind us, so he rounds off the podium. So congrats to Scratty Rat, his first win of the season. We still haven't had a repeat winner in this tier, so 6 races, 6 different winners. Next, tomorrow actually is Monaco, so for round 7. Monaco is a track that I quite enjoy, so hopefully we'll go well there. I'll put the championship standings up on the screen so you can get an idea of what's going on going into that race. So for some reason the quality of those standings absolutely fried, but you'll get over it. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you on the next one.